Hi, my name is Bill Aulet. I'm the Managing Director of the Martin Trust Center for MIT Entrepreneurship and a Senior Lecturer at the MIT Sloan School of Management. MIT was set up in the 1860s, and it was set up as an institute as opposed to a university. Before that, the model was kind of the Oxford-Cambridge model of clergy training clergy, knowledge for knowledge's sake. At MIT, it's fundamentally different. This was set up in the Industrial Revolution to train immigrants and immigrants' children to man the Industrial Revolution. And our motto is mens e manus, which means mind and hand. And if you look at it on the logo of MIT, there's a steel worker on it. So it's not just about coming up with knowledge, but you have to apply it. So it's not knowledge for knowledge's sake. It's developing knowledge that will have an impact on the world. So that has fundamentally, is a different model, and that's really helped MIT to be very entrepreneurial, because what we do has to be translated to impact. And we always talk about innovation equals invention plus commercialization. And it's not just enough to invent something. You have to commercialize it to have it impact or it to be an innovation. So when we get into this new world of innovation, MIT was very well positioned. I think the other thing that's very important to understand about MIT is the school of immigrants. It's a school that's kind of going against the grain. If all the fish are swimming this way, MIT is not afraid to swim that way. It's very much a meritocracy. So on those 2 points, the first one I'd say is, there's a culture at MIT called hacking. Now, to the rest of the world, hacking sounds like a bad thing. But to MIT, hacking is to do kind of a prank that requires some technical expertise, requires some creativity. And we actually have a museum of hacks that shows famous things that were done, like taking a police car apart and reassembling it on the dome of the MIT at the top, and then having the lights go off and the siren go off when people got up in the morning. And so all these clever types of hacks are really, trying to, get around rules. And that type of culture helps to create entrepreneurship, and has for 150 years. So I think that the other part that's very important is merit. Merit is, at MIT, there is no legacy. That means if I went to MIT and I gave a lot of money to MIT, that doesn't mean my kids can go to MIT any more than your kids could go to MIT. You have to get in based on your merit. We give no honorary doctorates. Either you get a doctorate from MIT or you don't. We don't give them out to people. Another one is that you don't graduate with honors from MIT. If you graduate, everybody has done a good job. It's a place where merit trumps everything else. We are not the school of class, the upper class. This is the school of the technological, people who have an impact on the world. And that has all made the difference for entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is totally merit-based. Credentials don't matter. You have to be able to think creatively. You have to have a certain creative irreverence. We call it the spirit of a pirate, and that's MIT. I think, first of all, when you said significant success, I think that what's as important or more important is I also have significant wisdom that came about from making many mistakes. So as I always say, wisdom is the scar tissue from all the mistakes that I've made. And the fact that I know what doesn't work is every bit as important as knowing what does work. So having done this for a long time and tried many different things, that's frankly what I think helps to make me a good educator. I think running it like a business is very, very important to a degree. We are very clear about who our customers are. Our customers are students, and we will do whatever we can to help them be successful. Now, we're not a business in the sense that we get a piece of the companies, because the moment we get a piece of your company but not his company, then all of a sudden are we really educated? We're picking winners and losers here. And we should be in the business of being 100% educator. So we're not interested so much, we're interested in teaching you how to fish, not to catch a fish. Because if you look at the entrepreneurial research, it shows that your first venture, like my first venture, is not likely to be successful. But your second will be more likely to be successful than your first, and your third more than your second, and certainly more than your first. So we're interested in trying to time compress that learning to make you more successful sooner, because a good entrepreneur pays dividends over and over and over again. It's like the old saying, teach a man to fish and he lives forever. Catch a fish and you can eat for one day. So I think that mentality, that efficiency. But on the other hand, an educational institution is, I shouldn't say efficiency, clarity, that clarity of what we're trying to do in an educational institution. But on the other hand, an educational institution is not a place of efficiency, an optimization. It's a place to teach. And we want to have good people, and we want to have a chance for our students to reflect here and make mistakes and not be penalized. And so we have thought leaders here at MIT who think about entrepreneurship, and not just people like myself who are practitioners. We've done it, but do we have that ability to analyze it and step back? And that's where we combine the academics with the practitioners, and they give us lots of feedback about, is that true? You think that's true, but where's the data to prove that that's true? So that's what goes back to the mens manis, the mind and the hands. And so in a very real sense, I'm the practitioner, I'm the hands, but I work very closely with esteemed, academic experts in this area like Fiona Murray and Scott Stern and Ed Roberts, to make sure that the theory and the practice actually meet together and that we get the best of the combination of those. Well, first of all, education for entrepreneurship is undergoing a monstrous revolution. Entrepreneurship, 10 years ago, was just seen as magic. You're born an entrepreneur, and you can just do it. And it's not anything we can teach. Today, we know that you can teach entrepreneurship. We have the data to show that the more times you're an entrepreneur, the better you can be. We assess students at the beginning, we assess them at the end to see whether they're learning. So entrepreneurship is no longer something people are born with. It's something that can be taught. The question isn't now whether you can teach it. The question now is, how do you teach it? And in that same period, the demand for entrepreneurship education has just gone through the roof. So now when we look at how you teach it, it's not teaching it like teaching chemistry or biology, where one answer, if I'm teaching you Java programming, there's an answer as to how you do Java programming. But if we're teaching entrepreneurship, you might be interested in starting a biotech company, and someone else is interested in starting an app company, and someone else is interested in starting an energy company, and somebody else is doing a medical tech device, and someone else is doing an enterprise software. How do you combine all those together to teach people how to do it? What's a framework that works for all of them? And that's a real challenge. And so there's no algorithm to help you do that. Each situation is different. So we have to now think of entrepreneurship as a profession, because so many people are doing it and it can be taught. But it's more of a profession like teaching or being a lawyer or even being a doctor, where you're just trying to improve the odds of success. It's not like being a scientist where there is an answer. Well, I look at when you say tech entrepreneurship, I think today that there's innovation-driven entrepreneurship and there's kind of SME entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship can be, I'm building a company that's just going to serve the local community. It might be a restaurant, it might be an IT services company, it might be a hair salon, a nail salon, a pizza parlor. And then on the other hand, I'm building a company that's based on innovation, which could be technology, it could be a business model, it could be process, it could be a number of different things. That is built to go after global markets. And those two, while they're both considered entrepreneurs, is really quite different. And this one about innovation-driven entrepreneurship is where the real explosive growth is. And that's where we train at MIT to do that. So I think they're really very different between those. The SME, small medium enterprise entrepreneur, is a small company that's basically going to stay small. An innovation-driven entrepreneurship company is one that's aspiring to be big, and it's going after global markets. The risk is actually higher, and the needs to fund it are higher too. Innovation is a very popular word right now, and I don't think people are defining it well. I mean, the first rule of engineering is to define your terms. You know, what are we talking about? And so innovation is a term that's thrown around all the time. To us, innovation is something that creates value in the world for somebody. And so innovation is an invention, a new idea, plus the commercialization. Innovation does not equal just an invention. Ideas are cheap. Patents, there's lots of patents, but that doesn't mean that they have an impact on the world. So they're not an innovation because they haven't created value yet. It takes someone to commercialize it, and that person to commercialize it is an entrepreneur. Technology is fundamentally changing the world in the most profound ways. We see it happening all the time. First of all, Thomas Friedman says the world is flat. Today you're here from Bulgaria, and that's amazing. When I grew up, my parents would never in the world have met someone from Bulgaria, let alone you come over here for a short period of time and then go back to Bulgaria. It's not just you traveling here, however. It's our ability to communicate with people in other places as well. I just did a talk for people in Switzerland last week, sitting in that room right over there via video conference. We did another one for thousands of people in Egypt. We've done it in Bulgaria as well. Sofia in Bulgaria. We've done a conference there talking to them about entrepreneurship. So the world is flat now that you don't even need to travel, but you can travel and you get to meet people. But it's also flat because we can sit right here and send messages to each other without even having to plan for it as well. Via Skype, via email. This has created a global community. And so now when we talk about innovation-driven entrepreneurship, the access to world markets has dramatically changed. It's much easier. So what technology has done is it's reduced the friction for people to connect worldwide. And this is bringing down. I see just within my life, I see the number of accents, changing. It's much less. I see people being able to speak common languages. It's just mind-boggling how fast things are moving. Technology can do both. Technology is a tool that can democratize society. It can also be used in a bad way as well. So when you look at the ability of revolutions to happen, of getting information out, it's certainly democratized. But then you see people shutting that down and using it for other things with privacy considerations. So it's a tool that's used for good or can be used for bad. I think in general it's been a very positive advancement, though, all said. I see the world as more connected. I see people thinking about the challenges that they have in a more integrated way as opposed to a fractured way. I certainly hope that's the case. I think that what you're going to see is entrepreneurship become much, much more important than even it is today. I was just in Cairo, and 70 million net new jobs need to be created in the Middle East and North Africa to keep employment at its current level. And unemployment is not at a good place. That's what caused the Arab Spring. But to be able to do that, those new jobs are not going to be created by government. They're not going to be created by NGOs. They're not going to be created by big companies. They're going to be created by entrepreneurs, and primarily innovation-driven entrepreneurs. So really what we need to do is we need to figure out how do we encourage and empower those entrepreneurs to be more successful. And that's what I talk about. Is I think that we in the United States have a lot of understanding of the entrepreneurial process and entrepreneurial education. Is our Marshall Plan today? I think we need to export as much of that information about entrepreneurship as we can, and it will come back to us in many, many ways, including enhancing that knowledge. But the knowledge about entrepreneurship is an asset that needs to be shared worldwide. So where the world's going is a place where there's going to be a lot of entrepreneurship around. And people are going to understand there's no job for life, that you have to build up your skill set to be able to realize and recognize opportunities and then take action on them. So it's gone from big companies to entrepreneurs. In the past 10 years, entrepreneurship used to be kind of for crazy people over here. And now today, 20% of the student population at the most prestigious universities want to become entrepreneurs. They want to take control of their destiny. It used to be when I first started, you could go work at IBM, you could go work at General Electric, and you had a job for life. Those days are gone. Today, if you want to have a job for life, you have to be able to create a job over and over and over again. So the dynamic nature of the business environment has changed from big companies to small companies. It's changed from size to innovation. Privacy. I mean, just the invasion of privacy with technology. I think what we're going to start to see is innovation is driven by communities that are connected throughout the world, because it's clear that innovation is driven by diversity. And here at MIT, in my class the other day, we just went around at all the different nationalities that were there. It seemed like the United Nations. It didn't have to have, there were probably 10 to 15% of the class was from the United States. And that's not an accident, because this diversity creates more innovative environment for more new novel ideas. But I think that the way technology is going, that we'll be able to connect communities and ideas will be able to be batted around. I think there will still be a place for physical getting together and doing kind of residential experience, but a lot of it will be done through the internet. It's very interesting. We just had a class, online entrepreneurship class. We had over 55,000 people take it almost immediately in the first run around the world. And we were really quite surprised because there wasn't a lot of marketing of it. But people from all over the world, Africa, Europe, Asia, South America, United States, were taking this class. And then we did something very interesting. We took all those 55,000 people and we figured out who were the ones who were the most committed. And then we took the ones who had done the best and the most committed, and we interviewed them. And then we brought the best 50 of them back here to MIT to be together physically. And it was amazing. It was amazing. This was just less than 30 days ago. The energy that was in the room was explosive. We had 2 people from Romania there. And they said it was so life-changing because everyone in that room, some of them had never been to the United States, some of them had never been on a college campus or university campus. But they had kind of found their way up through this system. And then they came here and they met each other. And it was a very intense week because there was so much energy in the room, and there was conflict because they wanted to get the most out of it because they're very ambitious. But what an extraordinarily successful experiment. And I think why I tell you that is because innovation is done to a certain degree, virtually through, networks, internet, but then there's still a value to bringing people together and to see what happens. So I think entrepreneurship education is at its infancy. There's so much more that needs to be done, and the world needs it so badly. The jobs that need to be created, we've talked about, just in Middle East and North Africa, 70 million. It's also in the United States, Europe, everywhere. I think the other question is we have some very difficult problems, some intractable problems in environment, education, healthcare. And the people who have contributed to those disproportionately are entrepreneurs. So the way I look at it is, right now, what can I give back to the world? What can I do? I've really enjoyed being in business and being an entrepreneur, and I've been more fortunate than I could ever have imagined, and been able to provide for my kids and family. Now at this point, I would love to see, this major contribution to the field of entrepreneurship done by MIT. And that's my goal, is to spearhead that and to take these fabulous students we get and make them the next generation of innovation-driven entrepreneurs out there. And then I would like to see our material put into books, into online courses, so everybody has access to it. What surprises me in the field is that it's not seen as a profession yet. Entrepreneurship is still seen as some sort of, crazy thing. I think it's surprising to me, with all this interest in entrepreneurship, that people still get kind of infatuated with the, idea du jour, that the shiny new toy, as I sometimes call it. It should, in a profession, there's a body of knowledge and you continually build on it. You don't all of a sudden say, oh, there's a brand new exciting thing in economics and we should not worry about everything we studied in economics or medicine. You continually add to it. But in entrepreneurship, it's not seen as a profession yet, and it's not treated that way. So every time there's a new idea, a new book, we tend to just kind of throw out what comes before us. I don't think that's a good thing. So in Sofia, there's a school that's teaching entrepreneurship, and in Bulgaria and Romania, I've been over there often, and I know Turkey is different, but it's right in that region. And there's a tremendous amount of technical skill about entrepreneurship, and there's really a desire and drive to do it. There's really a need to understand what the process is and how you link these great new ideas to the market. And how do you scale those businesses? So I think that it's a great opportunities there to partner with other parts of the world to create these teams that can be very successful. Well, the first thing I would say is, follow your passion, get a good education, and I encourage people to be entrepreneurial. I have 4 kids. I encourage them to pursue their passion, to get the best education, but then also to start thinking about, how do you create your own job? How do you get the job that you really want? Because often, we think we have to depend on other people. We go interview for a job at a company, and yet what's the best that job can be? It can be kind of what we want and working for, somebody else, but that mission isn't what we want. Whereas if over here I create my own job, then I can create exactly the job I want that gives me passion every day to wake up. And if we do a good job, then that company will exist, that job will exist. That's what I think that's the future, and that's what I would encourage young people. Get a good education, do what you're passionate about, but also build up the entrepreneurial skills so you control your own destiny. Entrepreneurship is something that can be learned. It's something that's a lifelong skill. I'm so glad that I learned it because I could be dropped into Sofia right now and I wouldn't worry about it because I know I could create my own job. I'm not dependent on other people, and that's a great feeling.